welcome back to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy. Today I'm going to talk about the rest of the items I read in the month of August. So let's get to it. Start with Mrs. Lorimer's Quiet Summer by Molly Clavering. And let's see, Lucy Lorimer. It's summertime and she is worried about having the entire family over. Partly because the house isn't big enough for the whole family now that her children have started having families of their own for the most part, and several of her children are struggling, and so she's very worried about them. Meanwhile, her neighbor Grace, who is unmarried, well, let's just say she has her own adventures. And this is very much a summertime story, so very appropriate to read it in August. Wasn't sure I would entirely like it, but I do love the ending and I appreciate the road that we get to take getting there, and so well worth reading if you love middlebrow fiction like this. And of course I read volume 8 of Emma M. Lyon. Since it is volume 8, not a whole lot that can be said, except that of course Emma and her friends and enemies, well, things keep going along. I will say there was one or two revelations, and how that will really affect things going forward, I am not sure. But now we just need the next volume. I absolutely love it though. Oh, then Edith Wharton's The Age of Innocence. And I can see why it won a Pulitzer and why it is so popular. She has been compared to Jane Austen in the early 20th century, and that is not inappropriate because unlike many moderns, she used earlier methods of storytelling. And, well, it's not village life. In a way, the New York she describes in the Gilded Age is kind of a village, at least among the aristocracy, quote unquote, of New York. But this is the story of Newland Archer. He is engaged to the lovely May. She'll be the perfect wife for him, what everyone expects. Then he meets her cousin, Countess Olenski, who is foreign. And so we get contrasts between foreign and American. We get contrasts of what is expected for women and what is expected for men. And this really is a eulogy to a society that within a few decades of when this takes place was destroyed. And a eulogy is appropriate because for all its problems, there were some good things about it too that were lost. Sadly, I cannot say that it is a favorite, just because of the main plot line. Let's just say that love triangles with married people don't really work for me. But I can appreciate it for what it is, and I am glad that I read it. I've heard that is one of the more light and happy of Edith Wharton, so I'm not sure where to go after this. But I have heard Edith Wharton's nonfiction is excellent, so maybe I'll try that sometime. Then I read Pericles by William Shakespeare. This is an interesting one. According to Wikipedia, it looks like this was one Shakespeare collaborated on, and he may not even have been the most prominent figure in the writing, and you can tell it's definitely not the best prose and poetry in a play. Transitions are a little bit rough, although they do have a quota. Is it modern? Well, certainly not at the time period. A more modern guy acting as chorus between all of the acts and elsewhere. But it is such a ride. If you thought A Winter's Tale was complicated, this is even more complicated. I think we have 5 locations. There are shipwrecks, there's kidnappings and pirates, and oh my, it's a fun ride though. I'm glad I read it. Let us see. Next, I have Emily Davis by Miss Reed. If you read Miss Clare Remembers, you know Emily Davis and Miss Dolly Clare. They grew up together, and we learn a lot about that. And well, let's just say pretty much the entire book is various people remembering Emily Davis. And I love her. I kind of wish I could get to know her and have tea with her because she is great. She didn't put up with any nonsense from her students or their parents or anyone else. Very high moral level that she lived and encouraged everyone else to. Not entirely central to Fairacres, but I'm so glad I read it. And then, yes, I couldn't stop myself. I read books 4 through 7, The Case Files of Henry Davenport. Breaking and entering, we get a train heist. Also, someone has been bypassing the palace security wards, which is very troubling. Is making Henry and Seton pull out their hair while Jamie heads up more the train heist situation. 3 charms for murder. It's exactly what it sounds like. Sadly, an older couple are found dead in their house, but it's in such a way it's extremely odd. One of the first things they recognize are that 3 charms are involved, but they have no idea what is going on because the charms themselves do not make much sense. So Jamie and Henry have to figure that out. Grimoires and where to find them. Oh, magic books, grimoires. Well, the most basic ones are usually safe enough, but actual magic is put into the more powerful ones, and some of the most powerful ones are quite dangerous. So when a book thief starts targeting a specific set and he's leaving the protective boxes behind, Henry is about ready to pull out his hair, and Jamie completely sympathizes. Death over the garden wall. Rich society socialite. She disappears, body found 2 weeks later, washed up further down shore. Was it suicide? Was it murder? Was it an accident? Jamie and Henry must figure that out. And then James Herriot's Yorkshire. This talks about some of the most prominent places in his books or in his personal life, or both, with wonderful photography, as you can see. Wonderful writing, telling us about the places and why they are meaningful to him. Makes me want to go live there. Of course, it's not the same anymore. So, guess it's a good thing he made this book so that I can at least enjoy that. And quick glance here. We talked about that. We talked about those. I think that is everything that I read for the second half of August. So what did you read for the second half of August? Anything particularly fun? Love to hear all about it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Truly do appreciate it. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.